what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. Yar-har, fiddle indeed. Being a pirate is a right indeed. Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. You are a pirate. We got us a map.
Welcome to the Captain's Quarters, the official monthly podcast of the Pirate Bay Free Company of Jenova server. Here are your hosts, First Mate, Miliana Grey, Man o' War, Kirito Felina, the hardy Carrudas Helmbreaker, and the Pirate Lord of Yar Booty, Captain Aya.
And welcome everybody to the Captain's Quarters, the new Final Fantasy XIV, the Pirate Bay Free Company specific podcast. I don't know. That's not a very smooth way to say that. We'll find a better way to say that in future shows. But it brought to you by the Zero Lies Video Game Podcast. That's my plug. So now that we're past that, I know the fantastic intro that fell out of our ass and sort of heralded everyone's appearance on the show, but I want to go through anyway. First off, I'm going to start with Kirito Felina. Is it Felina? Am I saying that right? I didn't ask you that either.
Yeah, I guess. I hit random, so.
Oh, really? Is that where that came
Yeah.
from? Holy shit,
Yeah.
I never would have guessed that. That's a way better name than Square tends to give you when you hit random.
Oh, yeah.
Well, fantastic. Welcome to the show, man. It's good to
Thank
finally
you.
be doing this.
Good to be here.
Nice. All right. So, Miliana Grey, say hello. Hang on. Can we stop working on our teeth for a second so she can say hello?
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, Kirito. You suck.
How's it going? Are you
Whoa.
excited to be
You
here?
were the one late.
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So, in all fairness, we are starting about an hour late, and it might be the shy one's fault, but we won't bust our chops about it too much.
She was scissoring.
Millie.
And last but not least, you know her, you love her, founder, lord, pirate captain of the Pirate Bay Free Company, the lord of your booty,
Yeah, all the booty.
all the booty,
Oh,
Captain
shit.
Aya. How are you, girl?
I'm doing good, boy. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. You haven't called me sir yet, so I feel like we've taken a step in the right direction. Every conversation
Maybe.
we've had for a while, you've called me sir.
It's sir and mister. I mixed it up.
Yeah. Well, neither.
I
one
think
of
if
those
I
apply to
start
me.
getting into the lady territory, then you got a problem.
What about Sif?
You don't know what I've got down there. Do what?
What? What did you say?
I'm
Sif
asking.
Rogen.
Oh. Yeah, we could put a poll up. We could put a poll up on the website and ask how many
will.
people think that I sound like Seth Rogen. I don't think it's going to be as many people as you think.
You think I won't? I'm
All
gonna
the
do it on
people.
Facebook and the website. It's gonna be like a global sticky.
I might.
I don't even know what a
the
fucking
people-
global sticky is. I'm too old for
Oh.
this internet shit. But anyway, that is not what we're here for. We are here so that the good captain can issue you her very first State of the Booty report. Now, you're making a very weird face as I say that. How nervous are you right
Yes.
now?
Well, that's because you said state of the booty, and it makes me giggle
Oh.
inside.
Well, yes, this is the state of your booty, and we're all very excited to hear it. So,
My booty's wonderful. My booty is huge.
oh, you know
My
what?
booty's ranked number 2 on the server. Yay!
Oh, you're not
Heidi
actually
was
talking
on
about your
board.
ass. For a second, I thought she really was talking about her
Are
ass.
you serious?
Yeah,
It's
me
like
too.
a-
I'm a guy. That's immediately where my mind went.
No. My butt probably is pretty big, IRL.
So I should actually point out that I myself am Carrudas Helmbreaker. I am the guy that you see pop up for about an hour and a half, maybe 3 times a week if I'm lucky. So hopefully this is my opportunity to give back a little bit to a free company that has actually been pretty good to me in the time I've played this game. You guys are far and away the coolest people that I've spent some time with in game. So this should be a lot of fun. Don't do that. I got schmaltzy enough.
You're sappy. Like, you're usually a jerk, so I'm like.
I got schmaltzy enough for both of us. But I just want to point out we're gonna try to bring you this state of the booty address once a month to talk about everything from game news to mostly free company news, what's going on as far as social events, what's going on as far as raiding, raid needs, raid progression, things like that. So what I want to do first is I want to kick this over. To the captain. So to start off with, again, let's kind of do a general overview. The state of the booty. It's your first time, so if there's anything extra you want to add in here, you go right ahead. But how is the Pirate Bay? How are things going?
It's wonderful. I think it's doing better than it's ever done. We keep hitting cap. Yeah, probably like, what do you think? At least once a week. We cleanse at about 45 days inactive. Sometimes we give other characters a little bit more time for an activity if they've let us know that they're going to be inactive for a while. But we'll cleanse those inactives, and before you know it, we fill right back up. We used to, when we were growing, do CL invites, where you /SEA, and then you invite anybody who doesn't have a free company to just kind of like grow and get some active players going. But now that we've gotten so big and so well known, people apply all the time. They invite their friends. I don't think there's many of us that do CL invites anymore, and we still hit cap every week. I think we're sitting at 497 right now, and it was just like a few days ago that we were at 512.
So that's actually kind of surprising. I was going to ask you how you ended up growing so quickly, because my memory of the birth of your booty, I really like that pun, so I'm going to keep using it. I'm going to use it a lot in the next few minutes. Was that we were in a free company together, and oddly enough, I had left my old free company because it died. On Facebook, I did an open call out on the Jenova server page asking people what free company I should join. I was recommended to our previous free company. I found you randomly. You were actually the first person wearing the tag in Idleshire. So I came up and said hello. You invited me in, and I maybe logged on twice, and then I had to go on a hiatus to go on family vacation. And when I came back, everything had changed.
Gone.
About a week and a half later, everything had changed, and that free company was dying. And and so thankfully, as I was hanging off that particular cliff, you grabbed me by the wrist and hoisted me up, and gave me a spot in the booty.
I did, and at that time, I think it was just. I think about 6 of us. What we did is when we left, because it was dying out, the leader wasn't logging on anymore. There was only about 3 of us active officers, I would say, and about 3 more members that were active. So we decided we were tired of all playing alone. We couldn't get the leader to come back and help, so we left. We kind of talked about it, and I was like, if I start my own, will you guys come with me? And everybody's like, yeah. So we bought a dead free company. It was literally, it was dead. But it came with a house, and it came with a free company, like, already kind of there, so we didn't have to level it up or anything. And there was about 6 of us in it. And we talked about it, and we were like, what we want is we want to be the biggest, and we want to be the best, and we're going to work for this. So we had about 6 of us. And anybody who would log on in dark, we would kind of watch for it, and then we would invite them to join us, so that people weren't logging into a dead FC and they were stuck there.
So I'm actually curious, who are the core 6? Who are the original 6?
Okay, it was me, of course, and then Miliana Grey, and Avnarian Centum, and his wife Nomeg Centum, and then I guess there was 7, because then there was Sora, Aoi, and then Kazuza Toma. And then we brought Diego with us, Diego Medina, from another free company. He left to come with us, too, because he was our friend at the time.
You say all of their names so well. You've clearly practiced. Yeah, so that's cool. I wanted to ask some questions that I really didn't know the answer to kind of give not just myself an education, but maybe some of the newer or less active company members an idea of the history of the booty, because we just had a big milestone. We
did. The free company itself turned a year old. It was our year anniversary for this month. We had a giant birthday bash where for 2 weeks we did random events. We did flash mobs, gathering events, chocobo races, hide and seek, a raffle. We ended up doing this huge birthday bash where we got together, did these huge flash mobs. We did a huge raffle where I think there was like 4.4 million gil and prizes handed out. At the end of the night, we did a feast where we all kind of did toasts to the FC and to our friends in FC chat. It was a good night.
Yeah, I've heard of this kind of stuff going on in other FCs, but to be frank, I've never been in one that actually did anything like this. And being that this is my first MMO ever, I joined specifically because I'm just a massive Final Fantasy nerd. Anyone who does actually listen to the other show knows that actually one of the biggest critiques people have is that I bring up Final Fantasy too often. And if you do listen to both shows, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk a lot about Revenge of the Horde on Monday's episode, so I apologize in advance. But anyway, so what is our current server rank?
We are number 2. We sit behind Crown of Thorn. They usually hold number 1, but we've beat them out for number 1 quite a few months. We really just kind of fight for it. It's us and them. We've been world ranked quite a few times in the top 20, which is awesome. We're not right now, but it's because, I mean, there's a lot of people logging in and they're fighting for those places and they're playing and keeping active, and it's great. I mean, it's wonderful. A lot of people, I think, feel like Jenova's dying because some of the raid scene is kind of scarce, and so we want to make it so this FC is always active doing something, so people don't feel lonely or they don't feel like they're logging into their server to something that they can't enjoy or have fun with.
I think it's amazing to me that there's somebody that actually cares that much about it, because I think everybody's. I'm serious about that. I think everybody's been to that point where it feels like your server is dying and your FC is dying, and there's really no one. There's no one really around to talk to. I mean, that's specifically why I pulled our common friend who we were talking about earlier into the game. I called him up and it was I said I had to refer to it as my link shell for him to understand it, because he was an 11 player, and I said my link shell is dying. I have no one to play with. I will pay your subscription if I have to. They'd rather not, but you should come play this game with me. And now he is just unbelievably active compared to me. But anyway, it's great. It makes me really happy. So speaking of which, how's the search for our new first mate going? There's been a lot of talk. There was the voting on the Facebook page. I think it's something that everybody's pretty interested in. How's that going?
Oh yeah, it's been amazing. Okay, normally in the past, in order to choose a first mate, it would be the other first mates would kind of nominate people. And from that pool, I would kind of choose who I thought I could trust and who best fit us as a group and who had the best interest of the FC in mind. We didn't really have much of an interview process either, so it would really just be like who we knew and who we trusted. Somebody had brought up at some point, Tito had brought up in our sub-officer chat, the Mihardi chat, that he thinks that our first mates should be elected. And then, of course, all at once, a ton of people were like, no, why would you do that? It's just a popularity contest, you're an idiot kind of thing, like jumped all over the guy. And even I was like, I've got to have people in here I can trust. This is a big FC. We're going places. We don't need people in here that we don't know who they are. However, I went to bed that night, and I felt kind of like I needed to come up with some sort of solution to this. Like, change is always good. I feel like we can come up with something to make this work. So we did. We kind of all talked in officer chat, and we came up with a way where we took the pool of people who we thought were first mate material, and we came up with questions for them, and then we put their questions and answers on the Facebook for everybody to vote on. And they did. And that friend that you were talking about earlier, Neems, is actually in the running. He's in the final 2. So it's Neems and Isa. And tomorrow night at 10 p.m. CST, so Friday, I guess, is Friday, and then we're running this Saturday. But on Friday, 10 p.m. CST, we're going to have an officers meeting. It's going to be an actual officers meeting. They're both going to sit in on it, and they're going to, give their input, act like they are first mates, and we're going to see how they fit in with the group. And then from there, we're going to choose.
That's fantastic. I do want to point out the other 2 people here. Feel free to jump in. I know I have this all pretty laid out pretty tight in the outline, but I want this to be organic. So if you got anything to add or any sort of organic comments, just toss them in.
I don't want
sounds
to.
good.
I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk over Aya.
Well, it's fine. You know what? We need to. We should actually address this while I'm on the subject. So we need to actually get Millie a webcam. She claims that she has one and she won't turn it on. But here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. I'm going to teach you a little bit of podcast / talk radio magic. So when I started doing this on every show that I did, there's a lot of crosstalk, people interrupting each other. So there's this nice little system where when someone's talking, I'll do this, and this means that I'm next. And I'm holding up for our listeners. I'm holding up one finger right now. And if Aya wants to go next, she holds up a 2, and so on and so forth down the line. So once you can show us your beautiful face, you can show us your beautiful fingers, and you can pick a number, and we can we can move on organically. But until then, what do you have to say?
You're doing good, Aya. Keep it up.
Millie.
No, it was really hard when we made the FC at first because
It was.
Dark was my first FC that I joined in Jenova, and I really got to know everybody in there, and I loved everybody except for a couple. And
Don't start us any beef on episode 1.
no. And
I have a
when we
feeling
left,
Kirito's going to do enough of that.
it was a tough decision, but it worked out
It was.
great. I love our FC, and I love the name a lot better than it was. It was much better. It was an awful name when we bought it.
It was.
Oh yeah. I was gonna. You helped me make so much sense of that because when I first joined, I thought to myself, what a horribly unoriginal name. And then when you change it, I actually said, do I really want to walk around with booty next to my name all the time? But it grew
All
on
day.
me. It grew on me.
Yeah. I mean, now it's such a play on words. It's fun, and it's popular. I mean, people know it. I think there's even like a booty clone, but it's only got like 3 members.
Oh,
in it,
really?
so yeah, they walk around with like a lowercase everything and wear booty all caps.
Well,
so.
it was R for a few days, and that
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
R. That one was fun. Like, that
It
was
was
just for
fun.
fun until we figured out something real. But it was hilarious because we were the Pirate Bay, and it was like R with as many R's as you could fit in there. And people were like, no, what is this? What are you
Yeah, there were some people who really did not like that one.
Yeah, they hated it. I got some hate. Like, I got literal hate mail. Like, what is this tag? What are you doing?
And then I think Avin was the one that came up
Yeah.
with Beauty, and we were like, yes!
It's perfect. And he was like, no, guys, please, I'm kidding. And then his wife found out that he's the one who came up with it. And he was like, oh, you guys got me in trouble. It's good.
No, your booty truly is the gift that keeps on giving. So we've spoken a lot of positives about the FC, but I also want this to be a forum where we can ask some hard questions of the officers. And being that I am the lowest ranked member here, I feel like it can be a portal between the layman and the lords of the booty. So I would like to take a moment to say, if anyone wants to write in, if anyone has any questions, anything you'd like to have addressed on this monthly program, feel free to send us an email at blackcoatradio@gmail.com. I think that'd be a fun way that people can engage you in the game.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes people would just like to hear what they have to say on a show and maybe have it be a little bit anonymous. So we'll see. Who knows? We might get something out of that.
Anonymous is a big
Sounds
thing
good.
there.
But that
Yeah.
being said, to get a little bit more serious for a second, what do you think as a free company? What do you think we could use? Is there something we could use more of? Is there something we could be better about? What's some constructive criticism you would give the FC if you had a forum like a podcast on which to do it?
Oh, well, I would say, personally, there's a couple things. I do want more first mates. We want more Man of War, and there's very little Man of War material in the FC right now. Very few people are looking to raid. I think they're intimidated by content. It's hard. It's tough. People are leaving to other servers to go do it, so I think people are intimidated by the raiding aspect at all. So finding a Man of War is very difficult as well. Finding leadership material is very important to me. People who care about the FC and want to do more for the FC and its members, not just to hold the rank or to hold the title, but they care about the people who are playing, because all of the officers that I have now, that's what they're best at, is they care about other people. So personally, if I were to change anything, it would be have people who want to become more in the FC and play a bigger role.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would be the first to admit that I'm somewhat guilty of that myself. I actually remember when I was first asked, my response was, I can't get on often enough to be useful. I know that I can't. But it was nice, and I appreciate it, and that's kind of what this show was born of, was my desire to use the other thing that I really love to do, that I forced some time for, to give back, like I mentioned earlier. So 3.3 comes out, Revenge of the Horde, on, what is it, this Wednesday? Is that the 7th?
Is it?
It's really sad for me to ask that question because it's my birthday.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday's
the 7th.
Yeah, I'm actually debating whether or not for the first time in my life I'm going to take a day off from work. But I have a feeling that if I did, I would actually just spend the day with my daughter hanging around my neck. So I don't know that I would get to play much. But with Revenge of the Horde coming out, obviously I'm sure you've seen the trailer, you've seen patch notes, you've seen all the cool shit that's coming down the pipes with 3.3. What are you excited about as far as it pertains to the FC? Like, what are you interested in getting up to with your booty in Revenge of the Horde?
Is that towards me or is that towards the other peeps?
Well, they're all going to answer the question.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But you're going to start.
I have one. Avnaran.
Oh my God!
So mad at me.
We need to get on a Skype call and just figure out how to say all the names.
Avn.
Avnaran.
If you say it wrong, he gets very offended.
Avnaran.
But Avn has come up with, he wants people to gather the maps so that we can run a ton of FC, like Aquapolis, and make it like an event. And I'm crazy excited about that. I think it's going to be a huge thing. I think people are going to get excited about it, and I can't wait to fish my butt off to get some of those maps so we can start doing that.
So for those who might not know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the entrance to the Aquapolis is essentially going to be a random drop from Time War and Dragonskin maps, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll admit I don't do any crafting or gathering whatsoever, so I had to Google how the hell you even find those things in the first place. I saw that post on Facebook and I was like, "Fuck, I got to get my hands on some of those things." But
you can buy them
the great
off the market
Carrudas Helmbreaker has never picked up a fishing pole, and I don't think he's going to start tomorrow. But I'll contribute what gil I can to the cause. So next up, I want to talk a little bit more about some of these social events that have been going on recently with the birthday, any social events that might be coming up, and a little birdie with a captain's hat on told me that there was one person that she would refer to as the FC sweetheart, the beating heart of the Pirate Bay, who could take us through recent social events and really talk to us about the strength of the community of this fantastic FC that we're all a part of. And that would be Ms. Miliana Grey.
Hi.
I was going to try to make a joke about the scissoring that was going on camera. They can't see that stuff. No one can see when we're making the scissoring hands. But anyway, so talk to us. There was a lot of stuff going on recently. I mean, people, I would jump on and people were going nuts for chocobo racing, which I just thought, people do that? But it was cool. It was cool to see everyone so engaged. So talk to me a little bit about what's been going on and if there's any social events that are coming up.
Well, Jen and, Snowfox and Wolf were, all over those chocobo racings during the Booty Bash, and it was a lot of fun. They had, I think, 8 people doing it at one time once, and they were really enjoyable. And then we had flash mobs, a bunch of them, a lot. We were naked, all the time. Constantly naked. And shaking our booty. Yeah. And we got a lot of people involved. People who weren't in the FC would come and join in and strip down and get naked and dance. And then we had, what else did we have? We had the naked. Prom. We did have the prom. Aya and Wolf were, of course, prom king and queen. And nobody saw that coming. And I was actually ill during that, so I don't remember that much of the prom. I just remember that. And then what else did we do? We had the naked dungeon runs that Avon ran.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Those pictures were funny.
So how were you running naked dungeons? That intrigues me. Was it like unsynced so you could get through, or were you just like dying so you could be naked?
Yes. They were naked and running through the dungeons as a race. Like who could fumble on their face fastest through these dungeons completely naked. It was greatness.
Like just running around grabbing random mobs and just dying in your underwear? Was that essentially the idea?
I mean, they did the dungeon, but in their panties. Like, and with their bits all over the place.
With their bits.
And they were taking tons of pictures. There's a picture of, I think it was Avon dead with no just posing right
like
on top.
Like teabagging the crap out of his face. Yeah, it was great because they're married. You know,
I think those pictures, are they on Facebook? They're on the Facebook.
They are. They are on Facebook, and there's some on the website, on the forum. They did kind of like a screenshot contest where they all took screenshots of it, and I picked the winner. It was great.
It was.
Yeah, your meme's on Facebook there, Millie.
It better not be. Is it really?
It is.
Yeah.
Now that, half the free company knows that you would sit on Aya's face, now everyone listening to this podcast knows. So.
I know, Aya. Anyway.
Well, I actually want to point out if you want to have a really good time and face a really good challenge, you should do what I did about a week ago and actually have yourself a staring contest with the captain. I stepped into Idleshire and she was staring off into nothingness. So since she is such a short cat lady, I knelt down in front of her and looked her eye to eye, and I left my character there for a good long time. Actually, I'm pretty sure I went into a dungeon or two and came back, and you were still fucking there. So so just let it be known that your captain is also actually a fantastic staring contest champion, as of yet undefeated to my understanding. So are there any other cool, fun social events coming up? When was the last time we had a wedding? Actually, I mean, if there's anything else you want to talk about, great. But I'm interested because I haven't heard of a wedding in a while.
Troy. This shit is a brothel. Like, people are in and out.
Well, there's no weddings in a brothel, buddy. Everybody's just fucking.
Yeah. They're just fucking, and then they're like, hey, let's get married, and then they're like, oh, we're getting a divorce. I'm gonna fuck this person.
That's marriage in the 21st century, my friend.
It's a cesspool.
Or I'm sorry, that's marriage in the 7th Umbral era.
Yeah.
No, we do have a wedding coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the 29th or 30th of June, Snowfox and Wolf Silverblade are getting married.
That's a big one.
It's gonna be a fun night because I think we are all getting drunk after.
Everybody's agreed to get trashed on TeamSpeak, and like it's gonna be a good time.
And we're probably gonna have a booty train where we walk from the wedding chapel all the way back to the Goblet to our house.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk and shout the entire time and scare people.
Did you say it's happening on the 29th?
I think so.
You
the
guys
29th
do all the fun stuff when I'm not around.
It is the 29th.
I'm going to be on vacation. I'm going to be on my annual summer family vacation. So
I'll stream it for you.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Save me some video.
I think Kirito streams just about every single wedding we have.
I've been to one. I was lucky enough to get on the time. I think it was last minute, and I will be damned if I could even. No, you know what? Wasn't it yours, Aya? It was your wedding that I went to.
I think it was mine and Zaft's.
Yeah. I think I got on the last possible minute. Everybody was fucking naked.
We weren't naked until the end.
Yes.
Like we got married in our regular clothes, and then at the end we put on our skivvies. Well, not our skivvies, but like our sluttiest attire, and then we walked down the aisle and.
Well, I want to say Kirito asked if he was naked, but I guess since this is all about you, you can go ahead and keep.
It's okay, It's just a man of war.
Oh.
The rare and powerful man of war.
They are.
I'm. You're not lying. I've always been super interested in it, but again, it's a time commitment. I'm not going to commit to something like that if I'm just going to end up spoiling everybody's fun by not being able to show up. The time will come. Yeah. I'm sure it will be during this game's death knell when whatever next Final Fantasy MMO is coming out, when I'll finally have a chance to do this stuff when my daughter's in college or something. But that being said, so we have upcoming weddings. Do we have any upcoming FC birthdays worth talking about?
We do. We also have more events, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Continue with events. You know what? I'm just so happy. You were so nervous coming into this, and I was worried about your level of preparation. But you're on point. You're ready to go.
I had a chat earlier today. We were like,
Yeah, we did.
done.
Yeah,
I
just
told
shit
her
on his
that she
face,
wouldn't
Millie.
be nervous
Fuck.
when we talked about it.
But we have a fair coming up, a crafting fair. It's going to be server wide, where we invite everybody to come. We're probably going to camp out in like Limsa, probably near the Aft Castle, and we're going to get a bunch of crafters, and we're going to make things for people. They can come and just say like, hey, can you make me a gathering set? And we'll be like, sure. And then we're going to have gophers for people who volunteer to go get the mats for the people crafting. And then we're going to have a raffle, like a huge raffle, even bigger than the one for the prom. Was it the prom or the booty bash?
It was the booty bash that we had the raffle. And
Yeah.
it was really, I mean, it went really well. We gave away a ton of money. So I'm really excited about the server-wide one.
Yeah, this one's going to be even more money. So, like, we'll have drops that people can buy. The yellow for 1 million for a chance to win 5 million gil. And then red for 500,000, and you get 2 million gil chance. And then blue for 100K, and you have a chance to get 1 million. So it's going to be a lot.
Do we have a definitive date and time on that?
Not yet. It's still in the works.
Who does all of our social planning, by the way? Who's the mastermind behind all
We
this?
all do, and mostly Aya, though.
Oh, I hear we all, and then Aya's just pointing directly at her own face.
She plans
Yeah.
when they happen, but we all kind of work together to plan the actual event.
So,
yeah,
so
I'm
what
never
you're saying?
I'm never just like, this is my thing and you guys are going to help me. Like, I'm like, hey, you guys, I have this idea. What do you think about it? And then they all kind of help me. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're the decision makers in the FC. So I never just make a decision on my own and I'm like, this is how it is. I come up with something and I'm like, what do you guys think? And they'll tell me yay or nay. And there's been quite a few times where they're like, no, Aya, shut up.
Yeah.
Go
But,
back to bed, you're
but
drunk.
at the end of
We all-
the day, it's your decision, right? Like fuck
is.
fuck
It
these
is.
guys if they don't want to listen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you want to raid when? Nah, that shit ain't flying.
Yeah.
But
No.
but just so you know, Troy, can I call you Troy? You want me to call you T-Man?
You know what? I think just given that this is a
T-Bone?
fucking Final Fantasy game, maybe you should just call me by my character, like I'm doing with you.
And what's that again, Troy?
Oh, you son of a bitch! All right, David. All right, David. It's on now. Now it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, T-Bone.
Call you DT.
So,
Call you DT.
I get that a lot,
I'm
actually.
sure you do.
surprisingly.
That's the most unoriginal thing I've said all day. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
But anyway, what's up?
So basically, one night I was looking up, and a lot of people that played WoW used to get into, they had like a news center, and basically go on there, people would be like taking pictures of, people having cyber sex down over in, like Iron Forge and shit, and be like, oh, look
you were
what I
never a part
found.
of that, right?
No, fuck no, I wouldn't do
The
that.
Iron
Not
Forge
with pics.
bathhouse,
Yeah, no.
starring
But,
starring Kirito Felina on skin flute.
Uh,
He's not used to somebody who can keep pace with him, is he?
no, I can play the skin flute like a beast.
I didn't mean keeping pace with that. But anyway, go
Oh, okay. So, one day I was like, hey, we should make like our own newspaper for Jenova, and and that's when Millie came up with the booty call.
Yeah, we are doing a booty call. Booty.
So where is that going to be published? How are people going to be able to access it? And what
Everywhere.
are the prerequisites for contribution?
Well,
Go ahead, Millie.
you must be naked
Okay.
to be able to be in the
Very
booty call.
naked.
Yes, very naked. And then you have to sacrifice a virgin
Uh-huh.
to Aya,
Yes.
and then
Has
we will
to
put
be
you
a
in the
male
booty call.
version. Very muscular.
Did the Manowar get to see this first, or is that just
I
skip
think
us, or-
isn't the Manowar like our biggest virgin pool? Aren't we just going to take from you guys first?
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
My wife slept with the milkman. That's the only reason I have to.
Okay, so was that the most legit answer you have? Have we not worked any of the answers to any of those questions out yet?
Oh
Well,
my gosh.
we're gonna put it on the website and also probably Facebook, and
Yeah.
we're gonna like work together to interview people. We're gonna have like the booty baby section where like new babies born within the booty get like a spotlight. Aya's gonna choose like a member spotlight for someone to highlight and talk about. We're going to talk about events, past and future. And
Yeah,
things
we're also going to have like a subsection. We're going to call it the Dirty Deets.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be about
Now-
the drama and the SC.
Not only the drama, but, what other FCs are going through, what people are talking shit in Idleshire, all the goodies.
So it's like TMZ. It's like the TMZ
Yeah.
section.
Yeah.
So is there? What are the chances? What are the chances that we could get some sprouts in the FC and ask them to go to all the city states and be like the paper boys, like town criers, like just shout near the Aetherite crystal that the new booty call is out.
that would be fun.
Booty call. Get your booty call.
Basically, turn them into male moogles because fuck
Oh, yeah.
sprouts.
I'll pay that biz too. Tip 'em
Apologies to any and all sprouts listening.
good. The more muscles, the better.
The footballs.
What is it with you and the muscles? That's the second time you brought up the muscles.
Aya likes muscles.
Happy. I do.
Her favorite man in the game is all kinds of Rogadins.
Oh,
Look at them.
is that why you
Like
were so open to
the
conversing
large
with me when we
shoulders.
first met? I don't have the biggest rogue on the server, but he's got some beef to him.
He's big in the pants. That's all that matters.
He's a mighty large sea wolf.
That's actually not true at all. I mean, I do like Rogadins,
Like
don't get me
them
wrong,
both.
especially when they run around naked. But I'm actually a big kitty boy fan, hence my in-game husband.
I actually like anyone.
That is
I like
true.
anyone who likes rogues because we are so fucking hated. We are so hated as
Really?
a race. Yes,
Oh, I love
especially
Rogadin.
when I meet a femro, I'm in love. I'm in love instantly just because someone has the balls to walk around Eorzea as a femro, which is really
Yeah,
ironic.
with a couple. I know
It's
a
true.
couple.
I've only seen a
Very
couple.
feminine.
Yeah. I mean, because maybe that has something to do with the fact that I've always been one. I've never once fantasied my character because I have a real connection to it. But I also think that
Yeah.
Admiral Merlwyb is the single coolest character in the game. I love Merlwyb to death. She's fantastic. Boy, I just absolutely lost my place, but that's great. We've had so much fun chatting.
Distracted by Admiral's boobs.
Yeah. I don't know where to go with that. So. Oh Jesus Christ! Wow,
We
I
were
just
just
dropped the
talking
ball
about
here,
the booty
guys.
call.
I dropped the
Yeah.
ball. This might be a time to point out that I had a couple of beers before we started, so I'm a little loose right now. I
I don't want to
apologize.
hear
I'll
it.
be
I
tighter in
finished
the
almost
future.
all my Red Bull and vodka.
Well, we
I
got through
water.
birthday shout-outs. So I asked Aya earlier,
We
and
have
Miliana.
not done birthday shout-outs.
Oh my
We didn't.
God. You're
You're
right. We haven't.
terrible.
No, you know what? We just keep going off topic, and we're losing our way. So please pull me back in. Get out what
Millie.
you have clearly prepared something. So I want you to.
Billy,
finish.
you be the man.
I have the booty event page right in front of my face. So I can
Do
do
it.
You've got the
So,
booty directly in your
Zach's on
face.
the 10th. He's going to
Yeah,
be in
straight.
God. Kirito, stop!
What? What are you talking about?
The visual gags do not play on a podcast, but I love them.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying seeing them. So, all right, booty events calendar, upcoming and recent birthdays. Hit me.
Zach is on the 10th. Mine is on the 16th, and that's a big deal, because I am a big deal.
Yeah.
So, I'm getting drunk on my birthday.
Oh,
Like
God.
Don't Starve. Everybody's
Yeah,
gonna play Don't
Like,
Starve together.
Kirito's going to burn down our village again.
No!
Ghost and
Again,
want all
for
the grass.
For the third time, he will be burning it down.
Kirito's so bad.
I don't know what they're talking about, Tebow. I'm fucking God.
Hugo's is on the 15th, which is the day before mine, so clearly his is a big deal too. Because
Hugo's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet guy. Super sweet guy.
Ariana is on the 26th, and then that's about it.
It for the month of June, you say?
Yeah.
For June, yeah.
That's for
for all
everybody
birthdays
register
ever.
their
Nope, no,
birthdays.
birthday.
No, it's the perfect time to cover it, since we are going to try to do the show at the beginning of every month. I think covering the month's birthdays is about all the further we need to go. So I actually asked a question a bit of a hard question to Aya earlier, and I'll ask you the same thing. If there's just a tad bit of constructive criticism, there's something you would like to see from the FC or something the FC be better about, what would that be?
I want more people in TeamSpeak all the time. I love talking to people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want more in
Agreed.
TeamSpeak. It's always a ton of fun when we get new people, because then we scare them and then they leave. And then they never get
But they always come
ever.
back. They can't resist.
Well, that's if you can even figure out TeamSpeak. The first time I ever used TeamSpeak was when you invited me into TeamSpeak, and I was so fucking confused by it. And I actually remember you just pulling me from room to room and laughing because I was so goddamn frustrated. I think we were gonna run Ifrit EX, and I was just like, I can't fucking figure this out. I don't want to be in this. I just let me do the fucking run. So I really have to talk. I mean, I knew we were gonna destroy the content anyway. We were so over leveled for it. Anywho, so since you are so prepared, Millie, my dear.
Oh no.
No, we talked a bit about this great segment we wanted to get into with each episode. This Better Know a Matey, where we pick one FC member each month to showcase and profile, so that everyone can learn a little bit more about their fellow FC members, people they may not know as much about. I have a feeling you have something prepared.
I forgot about this.
Don't fail. Oh. After all that fucking snarkiness, you're gonna fail me now.
That's the one thing.
There's a few that we talked about earlier,
Yeah,
Emily.
right.
No, it's okay. I think your punishment should be.
Oh yeah, Raven's a good one.
I know you're incredibly active and everyone knows you and everyone loves you. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, there you go.
This will be your punishment because I know you don't enjoy this.
I haven't had anything but water to drink except for that one time I got drunk in about 9 years. I only drink water. I haven't had a soda in 9 years.
No milk, no juice, no nothing.
Well, every once in a while milk.
Mm-hmm.
But
Naughty. You naughty.
I'm so naughty.
That's a real. I want you to know that's a really deep cut. That really gets to the core of you as a person. And I appreciate how brave you are for sharing that with us. You have only had water for the last 9 years.
Well,
I feel like we should start a slow clap.
that's just sad. That was like the saddest slow cat.
Well, I'm the only one that's putting
That was
any
a
effort into
wonderful
it.
slow
I'm the
cat.
only one that's putting any effort into it. Those two are very soft-handed.
Yeah. No one wants a rough hand when they're out rubbing one out in the bathroom, so I gotta keep them safe.
Ah, okay.
So, since
10K to the company, Jess.
Fuck.
The company just.
Is it like a swear jar? Do you treat it like a swear jar? That'd
Yeah.
be fantastic.
Kirito
And the
got
juice
about-
Listen.
bag jar.
I'm
Yeah.
like 700K into that shit.
Yeah.
So sometimes before the week even starts, I'll put 100K in there and just
Yeah.
hope for the best.
About all the money that we have in the FC chest is from Kirito.
All
Wow.
15 million.
He funds FC.
So, speaking of questions that I already posed to Aya, I will pose this to you as well. 3.3, Revenge of the Horde, coming out on Tuesday. What are you looking forward to the most? Is there a particular bit of content, something you're looking forward to doing with the FC? What makes you the most excited about this new content?
I'm actually excited for the Dungeon Finder because it can help us learn raids better.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be useful.
Good one. Good one, Millie.
I was just gonna sit on it. I was gonna be quiet and make her elaborate more. I was just gonna make her so uncomfortable that she just elaborates more.
I believe in her.
She's good at sitting on things.
That's what I hear.
What?
That's what I hear.
I'm David.
You're what?
What?
I didn't hear what you said. I asked you what you
I
said.
mean David.
Okay.
David.
And Troy.
It's Kirito. So.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Our names are David and Troy now. That's what we're calling. Can you Fantasia names in the game? I'll go do that right now.
Yeah, same.
You actually can.
Ugh, I don't want to be myself.
have
This
to
is
do it.
supposed to
You
be
already said it.
escapism. This is supposed to be escapism. Even though
Agreed.
I will say my big muscly rogue looks a lot like me. On purpose. But anyway.
Like Seth Rogen?
I sound like Seth Rogen. I don't look like him. We talked about
You
this.
kind of do.
A little bit.
We've... It's not nice to flip people off, Troy.
Yeah.
We're never gonna get
10K
away
to
with
the company,
we're never
Chad.
gonna get away with using character names in this thing. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not.
To the company, Jess.
If I had 10K to give you, you could have it. I am an adventurer by trade. Money does not come easy to us. Gil is in short supply.
Hear that?
So next up, I'm gonna start
Jerk
to.
is the-
I want to start to drill our resident man of war for some information. Talk to us. Talk to us a little bit about, again, since it's our first episode, and there might be people, a lot of people out there like me who are a little newer to the world of MMOs, dumb to the comings and goings of the FC. Explain the FC raid structure to us. How many statics do we have? Is there a particular structure? How do you go about picking people? Whatever information you want to give us, just explain the structure to me.
Sure. Before I do that, you asked where everyone else met each other, so I got to give my piece.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? So I had my own FC. We called it Ninjas of the Slap. We slap because we care was our slogan. Pretty sweet. Went down the drain. We joined another free company that had a mutual friend of Tessa and mine, Icy Latte. First time I met Tessa actually was in a raid, a Savage raid. It was A2, and we were supposed to be doing A1. So basically what happened was Icy Latte fucked it up. We ended up in there, and we just wiped periodically over and over and over again. It was bad. And it got to the point where I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, so I ran around with a gobwalker hoping for the best. So that's how I met her. That FC went under, and I got an invite. And that's what happened. So, raid structures.
Wait, hang on a second. You made it sound like that was going to be some epic and beautiful story, and it literally amounts to I met you in a dungeon and we died a lot.
It wasn't a dungeon,
sucks.
it was a raid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it was, seriously, it was an amazing time, because we were all, we were dying over and over. We didn't know what we were doing. And first off, a little backstory, all of us had never cleared A1 Savage before, and we were supposed to be doing A1 Savage, but Icy Latte kept locking us out. So she'd take us into A1 Savage, lock us out into A2 Savage, and then we're in A3 Savage, and none of us know what we're doing. We're like, we haven't even cleared A1 Savage. What are you doing? So
just kept periodically getting
it wasn't A3 Savage notoriously the most difficult of the four of them?
Yes, and that's what, we did that for 3 hours, and we're all crying in the fetal position by the time this is over with. So, here I am, when I get nervous, I just laugh a lot and, make really stupid jokes. And so here I am thinking I'm hilarious. I'm like, you guys. And everybody's like, shut the fuck up.
Everyone's pissed. My ass hurts. You need to learn this gobwalker. What the fuck?
Yeah, you're doing
I don't
such
know.
a shitty job, Kirito. Kirito, you're doing wonderful. Keep it up,
Yeah, you were the only one doing that. Everyone else was
So that's how we met. It was actually a really cool story. With details, it's actually really cool.
Yeah, I think the with details part is pretty important.
But after they came in, it's they both fit. We were still really small at the time. We didn't have many people. We still had kind of our medium house there in the lavender beds. We were small. We wanted to be big. We had dreams to be big because we didn't ever want to play inactive again. We wanted everybody to have somebody to play with at some point. So we were still tiny, but when they came in, they offered all kinds of help. They were amazing. It was like officers coming in right off the bat. So
they being Kirito and his wife, sweet.
Yeah, sweet Felina. She's amazing.
She's an ass.
As men, we're not allowed to be nice to our women, especially not when there's a recording device near.
She's not an ass. She's awesome. She's
a hot piece of ass name.
Damn.
Woman.
So now that we've pulled ourselves so far off topic, FC raid structure, go.
Okay, so we started off with actually 3 statics at one point. There was a little bit of drama, which we're not going to get into, that killed one of our statics. Basically what happened was people have lives, they were moving out. We had a lot of people that just couldn't devote the time that they needed to, and unfortunately that's not a static at that point. So they all just kind of dropped down to 1. That static is still going. It's gimping along. It's trying to, drag its legs a little bit. They're a little broken. But, they get on every day for raid times. They're not clearing much content, but they're getting in there, and that's the important thing is you got to wipe to learn. So it's very good that the people that we have in the core group are able to express themselves with everyone else around them in a more positive fashion than negative.
So when you're looking for people for a static, or when you're looking to fill individual slots, what do you find is the hardest part? Because I think there's people see a lot of gates to getting into hardcore raiding. I know for myself, I'll be frank, it's raid anxiety. I've had too many bad experiences just trying random bits of content with people. So I mean, do you think that's the biggest hurdle, or what's the hardest part of finding new people that you can really trust, that you know are going to show up on time and go to work?
So, the way I see it is there's almost 3 or 4 different kinds of people that play the game that want to raid. You have the hardcore people that's all they want to do. They want to gear their character, they want to do a little theory crafting, they want to figure out what they can do to optimize DPS, heals, tanking. Then you get the strag-alongs that just want to kind of go in and they want the team to know what they're doing, but they won't know what they're doing. And then you have people that really want to clear content for the story, but they just don't know how to play their character. They go through, they see they're hitting buttons, they're like, okay, I'm killing stuff. Awesome. But, when you get into these raiding environments, I played WoW for 10 years, and I'd have to say Final Fantasy is a lot harder than World of Warcraft raids. Yes. There's a certain expectation that has to be met, and when you have people keyboard turning in a fucking raid when they're trying to get out of AoE, it's just a huge DPS loss. Mm-hmm. And I think what the reason Aya is very careful with picking her mana war is she wants us not only to set up the raids and help them move along, but as well as coach and bring people up that want to raid that just won't be able to, up to a point where they can. Yeah. And I think that's the hardest part is, like you said, getting people that want to do the content but are afraid to do the content.
Raid anxiety is a huge issue in this game.
Sure.
Huge
By the way,
issue.
that was only 3 types of people, Kirito. I just want to let
Thank you
know.
for keeping track. I was going to bust his ass too. I was going to bust his
He
ass
said
too.
3 or 4. He did.
No, you know what? It's, I mean, I can relate to that, and I'm sure everyone at some point goes through raid anxiety. I can tell you the last time I even tried relevant content was during 3.1 when Thornton EX was relevant, and I have been to and just past the meteors more times than I can count, but I didn't touch it for a while. And I decided one day, I saw a party forming up, and the request, it was a progression party, and the request was essentially no up to meteors. So I felt pretty confident. I went in, I made some mistakes, and after, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 wipes, got absolutely balled out in front of just a room full of people that I didn't know. And then what was even more frustrating was then after I left the party, the person who balled me out in front of all of those people started sending me tells offering to mentor me, offering to take me under his wing and teach me the ways of a proper monk. And I just said, motherfucker, you don't get to do what you just did in front of all of those people and then turn around and offer to be my fucking sensei. Fuck you.
It's like, eat my ass, you fuck.
And the truth is, after that, I just said, fuck it. It's not, it's not worth the aggression. And I think a lot of people have similar experiences to that. And so I guess here's a good question. So being the man of war that you are, if you had someone in front of you, say on the other side of a camera, possibly wearing a headset and looking fantastic with a shaved head, who was interested, and you had one thing you could say to sell them on getting over their raid anxiety, what would that be?
It'd basically be, come raid with us. I have a parse. I'm going to see how you do. If I feel you need to increase your damage, awesome. I look up guides. I try to figure out everyone's rotations, whether they're, healers, tanks, or DPS. That's all I do is I raid. So if I'm not online, it's because it's not raid night. Basically, we're not here just to suffice to the people that are very good with raiding. That's why we have a core static group. That's for those raiders that want to see all the content faster than when new content comes out and that content becomes easy. And that's what we want to do, is have multiple statics And at first it was rated like A, B, and C. We would take people's gear score, their DPS, we would put them in different static groups depending on what they were able to dish out or do, and then we would attempt to have them parse in front of us, and we would show them a new rotation to help them. So if someone fucks up in the raid, it's not like WoW anymore. It's a totally different game. If you had asked me in Molten Core, like, what are you going to do for this guy? I'd be like, I'm going to kick him the fuck out. He doesn't know what he's doing. But that was different, It's you got 8 people. You need to know how each other work, and that's it. You got to get used to each other.
Well, you are talking to somebody that just cleared Final Coil of Bahamut last month. So you're so take everything I say with a grain of salt. But that I actually have to. I want to ask how many Men of War do we actually have currently?
We have 3.
3.
Yeah, and we have. Don't get me wrong. We have several applications. Like there are several people who want to be a Man of War, but I am crazy picky when it comes to this because, like you said, there are several who suffer with raid anxiety, and I think a lot of it is they're coming from WoW, and they're coming from Guild Wars 2, and they're coming from other MMOs whose raid content isn't as complicated, I guess you would say, as this raid content. So these people are intimidated, and they've ran with bad groups, and they're feeling a little insecure, and they want to come in and raid, but they don't. And so the job of the Man of War isn't just to make these raids work and to teach people their classes, but to make people feel like raiding is fun and like they can raid. And if they can't do that, I don't want them in the position.
It's
not
also
enough
a stigma.
to finish the game. Yeah.
It's a stigma. You look up the best FC on the Lodestone right now, and they have like 3 statics that are going and clearing content. But if you look at their rules, the rules are so strict that it makes it to a point where it's an elitist environment, and that's not how Aya wants to run the booty. She doesn't want it to be stressful, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very much cultivating a developmental system where you essentially have you essentially have your 8 ranked players, the people who are ready to go to actually work on progression, and then you're constantly working on people, for lack of a better term, with a lesser skill level at the moment that you're building up. I'm interested in that structure. So clearly you've got this one static, and you're working on progression with this single static. So how do you go about training up? Less experienced players? And actually, if anyone is listening that is interested in giving it a shot, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you to initiate that?
Best way to get in touch with me is probably just go on the website. I put guides up there. I just released a ninja guide on there as far as rotations, skills, what they need to take with them, what I expect if they were to want to raid.
There's also an application.
Yep, there's an application process for people that want to raid. We're more or less using that for people like outside of the FC. There's a lot of people that aren't in statics or any raids on this server, even though it's so small. But what we want is to bring them into an environment where they want to stay. You have top FCs that are like, they're clearing everything, and people are like, oh, I got to get into this. And then when they get into it, they're just shut down.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want to do. We want to keep it, flowing. We want to have people having a good time. And we want people to say, hey, that's booty. They fucking clear shit, and they don't have to worry about elite assholes. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to be shit all over just because they're not doing absolutely amazing. We want to create raiders, not take people who are already raiders and clear content. We want to take people who want to raid and want to learn raids and make it so they can clear content.
But we also do want the people who do know and want to raid also. We want both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it is also a learning experience where, like, even if you don't know your class very well, you can reach any of the Man of War, and they will help you.
Right, and we don't want, like, the hardcore group to, of people that are in the gaming environment to not want to come because, they're, soft, cuddly fucking bears in there. No. That's why we have multiple statics, so we can put the elitists with the elitists, and we can get the ball rolling so they can treat each other the way they're normally going to treat each other in a raiding environment.
Well, it's good too because you're also at least attempting to sort of stem the bleed of people that are transferring servers looking to clear content, right? I know that's a really big problem in this game and in just about every server right now. I'm interested. The question we've asked Millie and Aya thus far is what you're excited for in 3.3. I'm going to amend that a little bit for you, Kirito. I'm going to ask you something very specific. So the raid finder. Just looking at it objectively, especially with the eyes of a non-raider, I can see some serious positives and negatives to this system. How do you feel about the raid finder? Do you think it's gonna be helpful? Do you think it's gonna be a hindrance to progression? What do you think about that?
So a lot of people when they originally played the game, I've been playing the game since it came out when it was 1.0. Titan.
You'll have to show me your legacy tattoo sometime because I've never seen one. I've genuinely never seen one, and I've always wanted to see
show
one.
You. It's pretty fucking sick. But you get people on Titan, and everyone from that era knows Titan sucks. Like Square Enix itself knew that there was a huge lag issue. That Titan, if you didn't know the rotation, you weren't going to pass it. You had to be out before anything showed. And I think that when you go back to like World of Warcraft when they released Raid Finder, I was pissed. I was like, this is shit. Everyone's gonna be having the same gear. They're gonna fucking be able to go in there and clear all that shit in one day. That's horrible. It's not fun. Which is technically kind of what Square Enix has done here. They've released the regular raids, so you can complete that and get your gear. And then there's Savage mode. And that's for the people that want to clear up to an elitist expectation. Mm-hmm. And, most of the clears that have been done are by people that's all they live to do, is they want to get on the game, they want to destroy it. Death and Taxes came from World of Warcraft, and they're demolishing all the new raid content. But they're saying that it's way harder. As far as Raid Finder goes with that, I think that, there's a lot of people that want to raid consistently, but we just can't have everyone on it all the time. People need to be able to practice, but not worry about going into a party finder and being shit on. So having the raid finder, I think, for an individual purpose is going to be a great idea. I think we're going to be able to have people jump into content past what they're in and say, okay, this is what I'm looking forward to. I already know I'm good at the old content that we're doing now. Let me try to figure out how this next part works so I can help the other people. And I think, ultimately that's going to help raid progression for everybody.
I think it's a good way to practice, too.
Yeah, especially on an individual basis.
Yeah. If someone's struggling in a raid, you can be like, go raid find this.
Get thee to the raid finder. And don't come back without 50 runs under your belt.
It's like before you had to sit in Party Finder and hope you got a nice party that would like help you learn, and this way
instead of jerks.
Yeah, and now this way you can get into a group that's all around the same as you, and try and practice like phase 3 of Sephiroth or something.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they said it was going to be like different servers added to that. So when you're doing Raid Finder, especially on, Jenova, if it was just strictly our server, that Raid Finder wouldn't work because we just don't have the capacity as another server would.
Now, we're supposed to be able to connect with everyone from Aether, right? That's the idea?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
and in Party Finder, it could take hours, too.
Yeah. So I used to be on Balmung, and on Balmung, if you went to Party Finder, there was lists of people looking for parties. Like, if you needed it, it was there. It was on there. They were able to do Party Finder clears all the way up to A4 Savage when it came out because there was just so many people on at all times. People could keep trying to do the content. Here, you can't do that. You got to wait for your group. You got to hope for the best, and you got to be on at peak hours.
And that's kind of why we wanted Booty to be like it was, not just like one steady static, but we have 4 statics in the works where they're almost filled out, and within like the middle of this month we could have 4 statics running and doing raid content. And there's constantly people asking, does anybody need any help? Does anybody want help leveling? Does anybody want to do this raid or that raid or pony farms or that kind of thing? Just so people don't have to sit in Party Finder or sit there in Duty Finder constantly to level their alts and that kind of thing. They have an FC who will help them with people that they not only know, but they can get to know and that they can play with constantly. So that's kind of the goal of Booty. It's not just to be big for big's sake, but to be big so that everybody can find somebody to play with.
We do have a lot of people that come in and then just make friends, and then like we get a bunch of friends groups. And we're like a big Booty family.
Yeah, we are. We're like a family with lots of like little families inside. Like people talk about all the time that big FCs are so impersonal or they feel like they get lost. But we work really hard in the Booty, especially the higher ups, and I preach to my officers all the time. All the time.
All the time.
Make people feel welcome. Make people feel like they're a part of this FC. Help them. Greet them by name. If they log in, say, hey, so-and-so, how are you doing? What are you doing today? Make people feel like they're welcome in this FC and like they're seen and they're recognized so that when people log in, they don't feel like they're just logging in to just to see a people or they're logging in alone.
You're pulling back the curtain a little bit, Oz.
Yeah.
I will say, before being promoted, I kept thinking to myself, like, why does everyone want to say hello? Why does all these people want to say hello to me every time I get on? And then Neems actually brought it up to me. He goes, we were just told to say hello to everybody when they got it. And I was like, oh, that's a really novel idea. I think I would be bad at that. And now that it's incumbent on me to do it, I try my best to do it. But I will say this episode is getting a little bit long, so I think it's about time to wrap it up. But I do want to quickly run over one more thing with each one of you. So you've all kind of hinted at very varying and unique histories with this game, with other games. So I'm kind of curious. One at a time. I guess I'll just go from left to right on my screen here. But tell everyone when you started playing. What's your history with this game, and if you've done any server transfers, just so everyone can kind of get the DNA of you as a player in Eorzea, because I myself, it's a pretty short story. I started playing shortly after 2.3 came out because I'm a huge Final Fantasy nut, and I went straight to Jenova server because it was the first thing that I clicked on that wasn't full. So I'm not even a diehard Final Fantasy VII guy. Like, it's a great game, but 6 for life.
No.
But anyway,
9.
so okay, I like 9, but man, when people try to tell me 9's the best in the series, I just want to smack the taste out of their mouth. Just want to smack. You could, because all I can say is you've clearly never played 6 or Tactics. Clearly.
I played Tactics.
But that being said, Kirito, give me. Obviously, you're a 1.0 player. Give me the history of Kirito Felina.
Okay, so Kirito Felina wasn't my first name. First name I started out was with Itana Felina. I play girl characters. I'm a dude. I think the armor looks better.
I hate it.
She hates it.
That's totally legitimate, though. Someone told me that same thing when I asked why guys play as girls and vice versa, and I gotta tell you, I went on earlier about how much I love my big beefy Rogadin, and I am a career monk, but I will say this: monk gear looks like dog shit on a Rogadin. This fucking Inferno gear, this 230 Inferno gear with a giant fucking opening in the chest. I look like I have man tits. It is ridiculous.
Muscle tits.
Absolutely ridiculous. I had the only stuff I have ever found, the only monk stuff that ever works for a male Rogadin is it's all been the Gordius gear. It was all the Gordius gear. It looks fantastic on a Rogadin. So anyway, sorry. Continue.
Oh yeah, so as a lot of people know, 1.0 sucked. You couldn't level more than a certain amount per week, so you had to get on, and there was a cap. So once you hit that cap, you couldn't do anything else to progress. You could only get 3 leaves a week. So once you did those leaves, you could only grind out the rest of your levels. No, not at the beginning.
I played the beginning, and I had you could get a maximum of 12 if you didn't do them every day.
If you didn't do them every day, but it took 2 days to get one.
Yeah, it was like a 12-hour window between one.
Yeah.
like for
Exactly,
everyone.
yeah.
It was awful. It was
That's
awful.
such a shame because as a guy who loves story, like the reason I love the Final Fantasy franchise,
Yeah.
the story of 1.0 sounds fucking phenomenal. It sounds
Yeah.
so
It was.
fantastic. And when I listen, I sometimes at work I'll be sitting at my desk and I will just turn on Ethis Asher's summary of 1.0 lore and just get chills. Like the fall of Dalamud sounds like such an amazing thing to have been a part of, and I'm so jealous that I wasn't. I wanted to be, but I specifically remember I couldn't afford a PS3 at the time, didn't have a good gaming computer, and I heard the game sucked, so I was like, I'll save my money and use it on something else.
I will
You-
say that the gathering in 1.0 was actually really fun though. It was
Honestly,
annoying, but it was fun.
1.0 had a lot of good things. Like, you could open a bazaar on yourself. You could basically put items on yourself and sell them. So if people saw you walking
They
by
did
with a money
too.
bag,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was awesome.
same thing
It was
with
like
11.
Yeah.
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 And it was something that was interesting because there really wasn't a market board. There was a area you could go in each city and sell to that area, but there wasn't a market board like we have now.
I believe there were retainers though. That you would put your stuff on the retainers and you would like
Yes.
send them out to the market, and then
Yep.
they would
And
like
they
sell
would
your
chill
items.
there.
But you
Yes.
could also sell them on yourself too.
So I definitely I keep pulling us off topic. It's my fault, and I definitely want to get back to you talking about the history, your history in the game. But I will point out at some time you and I are going to have to sit down, and I am going to mine you for 1.0 stories, like I used to mine my grandfather for World War II stories. Because seriously, I know the gameplay sucked, but pre-Bahamut, pre-Dalamud Eorzea sounds like fantastic to me from a lore perspective.
I played
It was very
1.0.
interesting.
Okay, well we'll do it together sometime.
Awesome.
Continue,
Look
sir.
at you guys bonding.
Okay.
So
So,
Romance.
so they started pushing out updates, and they're like, hey, we're going to turn off the game, but everyone that has been paying and playing from since it came out, we're going to let you play for free for, like, next couple of months, and it's going to go down for a year while we remake it. That happened. I remember the beta came out for Realm Reborn. I got in. I didn't like it at first. I was like, what the fuck? You can't jump right away. And then beta got patched again, and then they're like, oh, now you can jump. And I was like, holy shit, I love this game.
You had to wait to learn to jump.
No, like, so they didn't even implement it in the game.
Oh,
Originally,
when you said right away, I was like, what is like a level 10 quest? You learn how to fucking jump.
yeah, it depends on how fast you spam your
It's
space
this
bar
ancient
before you
magic
learn it.
called jump.
Special quest.
Beast boy.
All right,
But,
Millie. Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
know-
We're not done yet. Continue.
Oh yeah, so then that came out, and I was doing good. I was in a free company. All the moves were different. If you use stone on a white mage, you could hit multiple targets with it. You could. Everything had its own different way of doing things. It was a lot harder. It was harder to be able to have things that, like here, you get a chocobo right away. All you have to do is farm a couple seals. Then you had to do a quest line where you had to run across all of Eorzea, and there wasn't no like East Shroud, South Shroud. It was all one area,
Shroud.
and
Yeah.
that shit sucked. But you had to work for your stuff. You didn't do
Yeah.
a quest and get all your gear. You had to go and you had to look for it and farm for it. It was a different game entirely. I miss it, but that's where I am now.
When did you transfer over from Balmung?
I
Yeah.
transferred from Balmung a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I guess I was about 6 months into the game at that point. But that's awesome. I'm glad you did, because now we can scissor with our
I love
romance.
Oh, romance. Aya!
We'll
Millie,
scissor, and Millie will sit on Aya's face.
Millie, the history of Miliana Grey.
I also played 1.0. I've actually played the alpha of that when it was first being made. My sister got in and she let me come over and play it, and I did. And I was like, it's unique. I'll give it a shot. So I got the game. I played it. It was awful. And so I quit like about a month into playing. I was like, I'm done. So I went and played something else. And then when they started remaking it, my sister started like hyping it up, and I was like, I had no faith in it. So I was like, I don't even want to play the beta. So I didn't play anything. And then about 6 months after it came out, my sister finally talked me into playing it, so I did. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello?
Millie.
Millie?
Did you mute
Did you
yourself?
die?
What happened? I think we lost Millie.
Millie.
Aya, I think you're up.
Hi. Okay.
I think
So
we got
actually-
to keep it moving. We'll pick her up if she comes back around.
I actually played an alpha myself. A friend of mine had kind of introduced me to it. I played a little bit of 11 due to like an ex-boyfriend. So when somebody mentioned Final Fantasy XIV, I was like, oh, I love 11. I'm going to go play this game. And I started it and I hated it. I did. I hated everything about it. So I only played for literally like a week and I quit. But at the time, I was a huge WoW head. I've played WoW for, I think I played for almost 9 years. It was about 8. I'd say a little over 8 years. Loved it. Raided constantly. I was a holy paladin to my core. I loved to heal PvP. I loved to heal raids. I was hardcore. And so when I came into 1.0, it felt like a chore to me. So I didn't want to do it. I was like, no, I've got WoW over here. I'm successful. I don't know why I'd come over to this game. It's so fun. However, I've played a jillion MMORPGs. So when somebody told me that Realm Reborn came out and it was awesome, I didn't believe them, like Millie said, so I didn't play at all. But at one point, I got sick and tired of WoW. And I do love Final Fantasy. I love the Final Fantasy franchise. I love the stories. I love the characters. I get really immersed into their stories. I'm a huge romance person. So Final Fantasy
Final
is all
Fantasy
about
VIII
that
for the win.
romance. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a big
exactly.
8 fan. I really am.
Yeah. So I'm
was
all
good.
about the love. So I thought, okay, why not give this a try? I'm sick of WoW. I have nothing else to play right now. So I came in and actually started hardcore playing probably a little over a year ago. And it was a little right before Heaven's Word was released. I played a little bit before then, quit, kind of went back to WoW again, came back, played pretty hardcore about a month or so before Heaven's Word came out. And then when that came out, I started playing. But at the time, I'd played kind of other things. I dabbled in it, and then I started playing White Mage. And I fell in love with White Mage. And I'm weird, because people will come into the FC and they're like, you only have White Mage as your battle class leveled to 60. Like, how can you lead an FC? And like, people tell me to play this until I get bored and then I level something else. I don't get bored with White Mage. I've played it for over a year. I love it. I have so much fun healing on a White Mage. I think it's incredible. It's constantly changing. It's constantly, you have to learn something new for each and every raid, for each and every dungeon. You have to do something new as a White Mage, and I love it. I think it's so much fun. So I haven't wanted to really level another battle class to level 60 at this point. I'm obsessed with bards because they give me mana, so I think they're incredibly sexy.
They could give up TP a little bit more often.
Yeah,
They put in
well,
a bar.
I don't
They
know.
put a status bar for that, and no one pays attention to it. That's
I
that's
know.
just the monk perspective. I have to get my own fucking TP.
Oh, she
Bards?
strips for bards. She
I
stripped
do.
for Jay.
Like, bards turn me on. I'm not gonna lie. I love bards. So I think
So
if
is
I were to
Edward
ever,
from 4 like your favorite character in the franchise?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I don't
God.
even know who that is. Shut up.
Really?
Anyway.
Really? I'm sorry. I thought you were a Final Fantasy fan. You're gonna find that I'm a Final Fantasy super nerd. And pulling out Edward is not the deepest cut that I could pull out. He was a main character. God damn it!
Oh no. Oh no.
Millie is
Leave me
back, by
alone.
the way.
Go away.
I'm back, by the way.
I was waiting for it.
I'm almost dead. We were talking about my love of bards, Millie.
Bards are fun, and the armor
Right?
is really cool.
They're sexy. Like those big old bows, and they give you mana. You're like, Bard, please, I'm struggling. They're like, don't worry, my love.
See, it's about the
I will
size,
give you
not how you
mana.
use it.
Yeah.
Please.
No, it's actually kind of heartening for me to hear that you only have one battle class of 60 because I actually only have my monk at 60 now. I actually power leveled a warrior to 50 just before Heaven's Ward came out, and even at this point, I think my warrior's only at 53. I try sometimes, but I love monk too much. I think I leveled a dragoon around 2.4. I leveled a dragoon to about 37 and then quit. And I think I just have a couple of other things for side jobs. I just have a couple of others at like 15 or 16. But that being said, yeah, my short history, again, this is my first MMO. I've been playing for actually coming up on 2 years. This next week, I got it for my birthday 2 years ago. I picked up a Realm Reborn. So coming up on 2 years in the game, I played 11 for about a month. It was slow. I didn't care for it. But I have beaten in my last count, I have beaten every numbered Final Fantasy and quite a few of the offshoots. Basically, if it has the brand, I've beaten it at least 5 times, excluding special circumstantial things like 13-2. 13 sucked. When I took it back to GameStop and sold it, I actually got a standing ovation from the GameStop staff because I was the first person to return the game having beaten it. They said everyone else quit by Chapter 10, which made perfect sense to me, but I forced myself through. 13-2, I got all the way up to the final boss fight with Caius Ballad and said, I don't fucking care about the ending of this game, and I just stopped. I refuse to play Lightning Returns. If you've listened to Zero Lives, you know that I have zero interest in 15 for various reasons, but mostly because it shares the DNA of 13. I was tricked into playing Type 0 because everyone told me it was a good game, and if you're a Type 0 fan, if you really love Type 0, all I have to say to you is blood doesn't make a good game. That game's story is an incoherent, garbled mess, and just because it's bloody doesn't make it good. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, so a big hardcore fan of the series, and I think the reason I fell in love with 14 really it was something that most people hate, which is the constant references. I love the constant. I love when Ultros and Typhon showed up in the dragon's neck. I'm pretty sure I came all over my controller.
Oh, well, since you said 13 was so bad, I need to ask you about 12. What did you think of 12 compared to?
I like 12.
12. Okay, hang on. I'll give you my very distinct impression of 12. I went into 12 incredibly biased because Tactics is my second favorite game to carry the Final Fantasy brand, and when they told me well in advance that it was going to take place in the world of Ivalice, I lost my mind. So I went into 12 very biased. I love the Star Wars, all the Star Wars ties and all the Star Wars references. 12 is actually one of, I would say it's probably in my top 5 Final Fantasy games. Awesome. I really, really love 12.
Look at you!
I think it's an absolutely fantastic game. And by the way, if you like the story of 14, but you didn't like the story of 12, there's something wrong with you because they're basically ripping off most of the plot. There are so many ties. There are so many ties.
The gameplay.
It was okay. It was a little grindy.
The gameplay was essentially a one-player MMO. It was just a testing ground. It was a bridge between 11.
And you could put your controller down and go get a sandwich.
Well, that is true. That is true. The first time I saw somebody beat Yazmat by simply setting up the right gambits and the right weapons and then just walking away. And I remember I fought Yazmat for about 12 hours and then got bored. And this person beat Yazmat in 2 hours. I was like, "Fuck you! You're too smart." It was frustrating because then I had the blueprint. I had the template to do it, but I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go do it. Yes, I will fight tooth and nail for the legitimacy of 12. I'm not saying Vaughn's a good character, but I would also argue that he was not the main character. I think the main character was easily Ash. Bosch von Ronsenberg, which by the way, when I see people walking around, and this is how anal I get, when I see people walking around with their name as Bosch von V-O-N Ronsenberg, I want to point out that you're wrong. His middle name was Fon, F-O-N, as in go fuck yourself, you're wrong. But I was so I'm anything that takes place in Ivalice, I'm a huge fan of. That's easily my favorite world of Final Fantasy that has the best lore, and so all of the parallels between that game and 14 and Eorzea were why I got really, really amped up on this game to begin with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm kind of curious why you asked in relation to 13 because I feel like they're a little unrelated.
They're absolutely unrelated.
So they're unrelated, but story-wise, I will say 12 was amazing as far as the story. I didn't like the gameplay. I didn't think 13 was that good either, though.
13 was awesome.
13
was.
story is a
12 was
garbled
good.
mess that makes no sense. I played through the whole game and I still can't tell you the difference between a Lussie and a Falsey, and I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't. I was just wondering, because if I had to pick the worst, 12 is my worst.
Oh, that's brutal. Really?
13
I
is
can't
always
do
going
it.
to be the worst. Always.
Mm.
Man,
one?
Worse.
13.
Well, now that we've devolved into fandom, you know what? Let's just run with this. If I got to cut it out, I cut it out. But I'm enjoying this conversation. The worst. So you would say 12 is your least favorite in the series?
Bottom line.
Dude, it's really hard for me to do because I like all of them so much. I would say if you're talking about original releases of the games, I would say 2. But so many of them have been redeemed by their re-releases. Like the PSP re-release of Final Fantasy II was a fucking masterpiece. They fixed everything wrong with that game. But the original release of 2 would have to be my least favorite, easily. That being said, unless anybody else wants to spew some more bullshit about that has nothing to do with our FC, we should probably shut this down. So we're running about 20 minutes longer than I expected, but
Yay!
it's fine.
Did you guys hear me? What all did you hear when I...
You went away. We
heard a
we heard you
vibrator
we heard you ask a few times if you could hear us, and then you completely went away.
Yeah.
And then a long moan.
What?
Oh, scissoring.
Yeah.
Hashtag scissoring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, does anybody else have anything else they want to add?
You don't want to hear my history?
We
Sure.
are.
No, I don't want to give it down. I don't want a pity history lesson.
I guess, Millie.
We have plenty of time to talk about history, Millie.
Well, you know what? Let's do this. Screw it. I'm really anal about nice round numbers. So we already passed an hour. We have 10 minutes. Give me
Okay.
give me your history, and then we'll shut it down. I think everybody could enjoy an hour and a half. These are people that know and love all of you. So I'm sure that they'll enjoy taking the time.
Judge me.
Well, look,
I
I
will.
personally need things to listen to while I'm grinding tomestones. So I'm sure there's plenty of other people that feel the same way.
Well, I started in 1.0 also. My sister got me into alpha. And,
Heard that.
Yeah,
Hated it.
I hated it. It was awful. And then, but I still got the game, and I still hated it. And then after that, I quit. And then my sister got into the beta of A Realm Reborn, and she tried to talk me into getting it. And I was like, no. And then 6 months after A Realm Reborn came out, she finally convinced me to get it. But I could not remember my login for Final Fantasy 1.0, so I had to remake it. And that's why I'm not a legacy. And
Oh, that's why.
yeah, I played on Paxwa,
Yep.
with my sister, and I got all the way to 50 on a white mage, and then I got to the end, and I was like, I had to get Swiftcast, and I got my black mage to like 12, and was like, I'm done, and I quit the game. And then I quit until Heaven's Sword came out, and I came back, and I started over on Jenova. And I've been here.
See, I can't bring myself to do that. I can't break my subscription. There's like I even if I have nothing I want to do, I can't break. I don't know. I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. And I feel like if I stop it, I'm never going to start it up
You've
again.
never played
Oh, yeah.
Black Mage.
Oh yeah.
I've heard.
Oh,
I've heard.
Black
Neems
Mage.
Neems has definitely explained to me the woes of the Black Mage. But you know what? I'm happy being in the shit, and I love the perception of being a monk. I actually remember when Neems first started playing, and he was playing all of his ranged DPS. He looks at me and he goes, I don't know how you get so close to the monsters and you don't just freak the fuck out. It would drive me nuts having to be that close. And I was like, yeah, I just go up there and stick my fist up their ass, and I'm totally fine with that.
Are you talking about the
yeah.
same guy who stripped down naked during the middle of a boss, well, right before a boss fight, and then the boss got
We got
pulled
locked
and
in?
the entire boss naked?
If the
Oh my
stuff
God.
the stuff he pulled in this game were the weirdest stories I could tell you. If only that were the truth. But we can save that for another time. When at some point I'm probably going to bring him on to defend himself. When we eventually highlight him in the Better Know a Matey segment, because
it'll be
I'm gonna
next
burn that
section,
motherfucker
probably.
to the ground. I'm
Well,
sure.
he did want me to tell you, by the way. He said, thank you. Well, that you should thank him for saving you one time for coming on the show, like coming to save you. I don't know what he was talking about. And that he can also tell me all the dirt on you.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but he should thank me for... You know what? I was being nice about it earlier. He should thank me for existing in this game, 1. 2, he should thank me for existing in this free company, because I told Aya this. That motherfucker fought me kicking and screaming, because I brought him into my old FC, and it died, and when I joined Dark, he didn't want to come. He stayed in the old FC and just let it die. And then when I joined Booty, I said, man, there's some really nice people, come over here, and his response is always just, I don't know, change is hard. Whatever. What, I don't know.
I'm texting him right now.
I had to club him. I had to club him about the head and shoulders to convince him to actually join, and that's why I was so happy that when he did, he was received so well, and he enjoys being with the group so much, because he's the shit. He really is. I can talk shit all day, and he can talk shit about me all day, but he's the shit. He's a very close friend. He's one of my boys, and it will be a sad day when he leaves the game, because he's leaving first. I guarantee you. I'm fucking gonna be around forever. Oh.
You don't want.
You didn't want to come to my FC.
I'll text him that too.
Well, I'm happy that I started this, but I have a feeling nobody's entertained by us ripping on Neem. So we're gonna shut it down here. Thank you everybody for listening to the first episode of the Pirate Bay. Yeah, this was fantastic, guys.
Super fun.
I'm glad that everybody felt really chill and relaxed and just decided to kind of keep it calm and be themselves. I don't want this to be a place where we are trying to put on some sort of professional, polished podcast. I just want to talk about the FC, hang out, have a good time. It's been really awesome. It's given me an opportunity to loosen up and get to know you guys a little bit better. So we will continue this on a monthly basis. No particular date in mind, but I think we're going to try to shoot to drop this roughly at the beginning of every month. So before we go, is there anyone in particular anyone wants to plug? Twitters, Facebooks, social media.
Our website. If you have not been to our website, bootyfc.com, it's amazing. Zafikari put it together. He works hard on it. He keeps it updated. He's even updated the look at least once since we've done it. He put together a whole video segment with our logo and some background music in case we ever do raid videos. I mean, he's put in a ton of work. So if you haven't been to the website and you haven't been to the forums, please go. It's a great way to get to know everybody, to talk to everybody and converse, and really kind of see what we're all about, because there we have the promotion guidelines. We're going to have a place specifically for these podcasts. We're going to have the FC rules included soon, as well as some rating rules included in their own segment. So if you haven't had a chance to visit, please do very soon.
And you can feel free to post in the forums.
Yeah. And talk shit. If you want to talk some shit, put my name in there. I'll come back at you.
Millie, you got anything you want to plug?
If you have any ideas for events, there is a forum to post that. We do like to hear from the FCA, so if you have any ideas, feel free to do that. And you can also host your own events if you like. We do welcome that.
Just let me know in advance so I know what you're doing, and then we don't step all over your toes.
And we do have a lot of little mini events coming in the future.
Kirito, plugs.
Yeah, so anytime we raid, I always use open broadcast, or I stream.
Open broadcast sounds awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, freeware.
I just wanted to stress the word broad. That sounds really
broad
to me.
Like my. So every time we raid, whatever. You haven't seen it yet, Billy. So,
your mom, Kirito.
Whatevs. So Twitch, I always post it into the FC. I'm like, hey guys, if you want to see what this fight's going to look like, or if you're interested, go ahead and watch this, see what we're all about. And then while we're doing that, I'm calling strats. It's a good time.
You can always contact any of the First Mates or Man Awards on Facebook also, and in game if you have any problems or questions.
I also have a group chat I mean, all of us have a kick chat. We
Yeah.
keep in touch through officer. There's a sub-officer kick chat, an officer kick chat, and then of course I have a kick chat. So in case you ever need to get in touch with anybody outside of game about what's going on, please send us a tell, send us an in-game mail, let us know if there's things that you need to talk to us about, ideas that you have for the FC. Of course, email us about any ideas or questions or concerns that you might have, because we want you to feel comfortable where you
Yeah,
are.
and if she says something to you, don't ignore her, because she will find you. She
I
will
will.
rip your dick off, put it in your
will.
mouth, and then sew your mouth shut. You don't want to do
I'm a
that.
very scary person when she's angry.
Mhm.
So in short form, there's absolutely no reason you should hesitate to contact any of your officers if you have any questions, concerns. You know, if you have a dick, just accept the fact that you may lose it in the process.
Okay.
But that being said, I will quickly plug our wonderful sponsor for the show, which is my other show, the Zero Lives Video Game Podcast. Stop by and see us on Black Coat Radio on SoundCloud or YouTube. We have got shows for pro wrestling fans. We've got shows for film fans, and my personal baby show for video game fans. We're gonna spend a lot of time this week talking about Overwatch, because everybody's talking about Overwatch. Overwatch porn is unintentionally a reoccurring segment on the show, and I can tell you that this week's episode is not going to be any different as I'm working out the outline. That being said, again, I mentioned earlier, if you want to contact this show directly, just get a hold of us at blackcoatradio@gmail.com. Just put the captain's quarters in the subject line, so I know specifically what show you are talking about. If there are things you want to address with your FC leaders that maybe you want to address in an anonymous fashion, you don't necessarily feel comfortable asking or going to them directly, feel free to use this show for that reason. I think this will just be one of many ways for you to contact the leadership of your FC. Aside from that, I think we did it, guys. First episode in the
sounds
can.
good.
Millie's still alive. She hasn't. We don't have to pull out the Phoenix down yet.
We don't.
Although that
It's
really doesn't
only
apply to this
useful in
game.
PvP.
That really doesn't apply to this game at all. Is that what it's
doesn't.
fucking for? I've had
Yeah,
Phoenix
it's for
down in my
PvP.
inventory for a year and a half, and I have no clue what the fuck it does.
It's only
It's for
Yeah.
PvP.
Ah, well, all right. So for Kirito Felina, for Miliana Grey, for Captain Aya Bea, I am Carrudas Helmbreaker, and we will talk to you next month.
See you later.
The Captain's Quarters is the official monthly podcast of the Pirate Bay Free Company of Jenova server in Final Fantasy XIV. This show is brought to you by the Zero Lives Video Game Podcast, which is part of Black Coat Radio. Find this and many other quality nerdcasts for stream and download at Black Coat Radio on SoundCloud and YouTube. Join us each and every month to hear the latest comings and goings of Genova's finest free company.
It's alright with me. Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You